Hello, what is up, y'all? I am Superviver T302, and this is my Pack and Roll Remix All Ghosts submission. So in this category, we beat the game as quickly as possible, but in every non-boss level, I have to eat every ghost. So this is kind of like any percent, but taken a little bit further. It's a little bit more interesting, and it's kind of any percent, but with a little extra, I guess you could say. So timing starts as soon as I select 1-1. So 3, 2, 1, go. So the first thing I want to explain is how to go fast in this game. By shaking the Wii remote, you get this small little boost that significantly increases your speed. And the game intends for you to use this to break open boxes and stuff like that, but in this game we can use it to kind of go fast. It's kind of the key mechanic for going fast in this game. And if you do it off of a slope like this, then you can get a lot of height. That's not really a good example, but later on you'll see it abused to a pretty high extent to get some pretty big skips. So this first level doesn't have any ghosts. This next level, however, is where we're going to be introduced to ghosts, and also the first level that's really different from any percent. So, like I said, I have to eat every ghost in every non-boss level. These first two ghosts are actually kind of tough, because the power pellet that I need to eat them with, I have to actually backtrack in order to eat them with it. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to head back, and I have to hope that the ghosts are in good spots. There's one. The other is right over there. That's kind of bad RNG, but at least I was able to eat them both. That's kind of the main element of this run, is that the ghosts' patterns are completely RNG dependent, and so sometimes they can just be in really awful spots, and you can have to chase them down. If I die at all while trying to eat a ghost, or if the power pellet runs out, then I have to actually restart the level, because in most instances there's no other way you can eat the ghost. But I got the one. This is actually one of the most different levels compared to any percent, because you do have to backtrack quite a bit. And the number of parentheses that you see on my splits is how many ghosts I have to eat. So here I'm going to use a little ramp boost there to skip that ramp. And as I'm boosting into these boxes, I'm crouching by using the B button, which kind of halts Pac-Man in place. It's kind of a brake button, if you will. And it keeps him from basically flailing all over the place, because we don't want that anyway. Whenever you eat the ghost, and then do a slow boost to skip that box. I don't actually know if that's faster, but it looks cool. I'm one to trade off speed for style every now and then. So in 1-4, we're going to be introduced to Night Pack, which makes Pac-Man slower and heavier, but he's able to break straight through these wooden boxes and break straight through those, and actually break those metal packages, which normal Pac-Man can't do. There's also a little bit of interesting routing here. I'm going to grab that power pellet, grab one side of the pack box there, but then I'm going to head over here, eat this ghost, and I'm going to head over here and grab this ghost, head back, and I'm going to clear off the rest of that section. Without falling off, hopefully. Selected the right level. Worried for a second that I wouldn't. So in 1-5, we're actually going to be introduced to Light Pack, which makes Pac-Man's physics really broken. You can gain a lot of height from slope boosts or bounce pads and whatnot, and he's also lasts in midair for a much longer time. And you'll be seeing this in effect later on in this one, it skips. Like right there, I used it to skip that ramp, which saved a small amount of time. So provided the ghosts aren't completely terrible to me, I should be able to make the normal cycle that I used to believe was the fastest cycle until I discovered it. 80% that you skip normal pack, you can make the fastest cycle, but it doesn't look like I'll make it out. It's just a little bit slow. The ghosts at the beginning did not give me a really good pattern. It's okay though, I can skip that second platform with the slow boost. Alright, so now we're on to World 2, the Gyro Jungle. So you might remember, if you watched my any percent submission before, if you watched my any percent submission before watching this, you might remember that I'm able to skip the gate in this level entirely. You could technically do that in this category. You could head back to that ramp at the end of the level, eat all the ghosts, go back down the ramp, and then do a slope boost at the bottom of the ramp to actually get behind the gate. but that actually is slower by around 5 seconds than just doing the level intentionally. And those platforms that you just saw me there aren't actually on normal cycles, so provided I just get to them, they'll move at the same rate. So this is also a lot easier because the gate method you have to use for the gate skip in that route is actually kind of difficult. And 2-2. I'm going to be making use of the bounce pads to jump up the higher sections of the level early. Just see an effect here in moments. I have to slow down a little bit. Oh, I didn't get that one. I have to slow down a little bit to get that first one, but I just didn't get enough height. I might have boosted it the wrong way. Sometimes these ghosts are in positions where you can just eat them on the way. Other times you have to kind of move around for a little bit and then eventually eat them. I've tried looking for a gate skip here. You can come really close to making it to those last 2 platforms with a slope boost from Night Pack, but from normal pack I mean, but you're just barely off. You need light pack to get to that section, simply. So 2-3 is a little different compared to any percent. You kind of have to backtrack a little bit in that first section. This is one of the harder levels to do all ghosts in, just because the ghosts are pretty spread out, and sometimes it can be really hard to eat them. Like in this section, I'm gonna have to kind of go out of my way just a little bit to be able to eat them. So that wasn't terrible RNG. The ghosts actually behaved pretty well there. Sometimes you can kind of spend a few seconds just trying to catch up to one of them and having it dodge you every single time, because Pac-Man is pretty hard to control in this game. So right here there should be 3 ghosts that we eat. There's way too many power balls in this level, so fortunately you don't really have to worry about missing any of those. Alright, so there's 3 in this section, I'm pretty sure. So there's 1 and the other 2 are down there. I don't actually have to eat that other one anyway. Right. Wow. I did not go the right way. That's I'm 0 for 2 on that so far, it's so that wasn't too great, but again, that's just kind of the nature of all ghosts. Sometimes the level just kind of messes you up. Also, I do not know how I saved there. I must have gotten an extra life. Oh, I did. Yeah. When you eat in a whole lot of ghosts, you actually start gaining extra lives. So when you get a big enough combo, your life count will start to increase. And you'll see that in 4-1 as well. Anyways, these Galvus boss fights, the all ghosts rule does not actually apply to any of the Galvus fights, because usually the ghosts are kind of just infinite, so it doesn't really matter. And the only ghost you have to eat in this level is Galvus anyways, so. And the game doesn't keep track of ghosts in this level, so the whole purpose of all ghosts is that the game keeps track of how many ghosts you eat in the level select menu. Anyway, these fights are the same in pretty much every category. You just kind of have to know where the pack drops are and get to them quickly. Alright, so the next level is World 3, which in this category is pretty bad. 3-1 in particular is probably the worst level. Actually, I think it's the second worst. Partly because I have to use Night Pack in this first section. And Night Pack, as I said earlier, slows Pac-Man down and makes him heavier, which is kind of terrible for some of the ramp jumps you have to make here, because you can sometimes just barely get enough speed to make it, but you have to have Night Pack here because the power pellets are in metal boxes that only Night Pack can break. I'm going to go ahead and eat that. I'm not going to worry too much about pack drops here, because I'll have plenty of them by the end of this section. So I'm gonna kind of go off here, break this box. That's a really tough box to break with Night Pack. Very tough to land on that small ledge. Alright, so I have to eat all 3 power pelts here, which is kind of bad, but it could be worse. Alright, so there we go. So I got all 3 ghosts there. Those are the only 3 ghosts in the level. And I have plenty of reserve pack dots. So now that I'm on this car, I'm going to skip it for the rest of this level just by kind of ledge grab hopping between these platforms, and I'm going to use slope boosts to get pack up in the final 2 platforms. Unlike in any percent, however, I'm not nearly as tight on pack dots, so I can afford to miss a few here. Okay. Not that many. Just go ahead and go. 6 short. This can happen sometimes. Yeah, World 3 is a pretty tough world in all ghosts, and really any category that isn't any percent this world is really tough. The 4 ghosts you see at the beginning of this level here, I'm going to try to get them all with 1 power pellet. And it's going to be the power pellet in this little box here. There is a backup power pellet I could use if I happen to fail this. That's not too far out of the way. 1, 2, and eating a whole lot of ghosts. I believe eating more than 2 ghosts gives you extra HP if you happen to lose some. Speaking of which, you might notice that I have 7 bars of health. You're supposed to start with 3, but there's various fruit items throughout the game you can collect to give you extra bars of health, and since this game autosaves and it's a pain to have to wipe your memory every single time you do a run, it's allowed to already have all of the extra bars of health. It's also allowed to already have the game right here. I'm gonna have to eat Blinky. I need Night Pack to get through the box at the end of this level, but because this is all ghosts, I have to eat Blinky. So I might as well just go ahead and eat it together. Alright, 3-3 is definitely the most stressful level in this category by far, mainly because of the end of the level. This beginning isn't too bad, though. Really, the only thing I have to worry about is making sure these ghosts don't mess up. If you have enough speed, you can just kind of roll across that gap. And you can still make the same cycle, you can make it 80%. I actually have an extra pack dot because I broke the box. Alright, so this second section is going to go the same as an 80%. I'm basically going to minimize the amount of time I spend waiting on these platforms. I'm going to grab 3 pack dots from here and then boost back. So I don't have to go over to that section of the level. Now I'm going to head over here, try to grab all the pack dots from here, and then make it back to this one, right? Right? This next section is by far the worst section in all ghosts. If I die after getting the power pellet, then I have to restart the entire level because it's not going to respawn and I'm not going to be able to eat these ghosts. I'm going to kind of play it a little safe here. So I'm probably not going to be able to get the optimal cycle now, unless I am insane, which I wasn't. So I'm going to have to wait here for this platform to come back, but it's better to take it safe there like that than accidentally fall off the stage after eating before eating the final ghost, and then you have to redo the entire level. Alright. 3-4 is another level that can go pretty badly, but thankfully this one's just at the beginning. So you see that Clyde ghost there? The orange ghost in the little ship thing? Eating him is pretty tough. Not gonna lie. So I'm gonna wait for him to get close to me, and then after I grab this power pellet, I'm just gonna boost towards him. That's the only way you can eat him. I'm gonna head back over here, take out Leaking Clyde here. Should be good. Once again, I am gonna be pretty stingy with pack dots in this level, just so I'll explain later. Actually, I'm gonna again ditch Night Pack so I can have better control over Pac-Man. So, the only real difference in this section is that I kind of have to go out of my way to eat the 2 ghosts here. You would think it would be faster to one-cycle that ghost, but it actually doesn't really matter. Because either way, I'm going to go over here and use this power pellet anyways. And there's a cool strat I can do. And also I'd have to grab my pack. But there's a cool strat I can do here if I can get up here. I can just boost over here. And also, I'm gonna grab a normal pack here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna activate the car, grab a normal pack, and then head back on. And this car is an auto-scroller. You can't skip it or the gates. And you can't really skip it anyways because there's a ghost on this car ride. Once I collect 80 pack dots, I'm gonna die on purpose, and this will put me back at the checkpoint. But I'll have enough pack dots to be able to get through the game. So the ghost is coming up here. I'm gonna grab this power pellet, and then it's gonna appear on the left. So I'm gonna eat it. Head back over to the right and get the pack dots. I do miss out on a few pack dots because of that, though. So I have to use a little later into this car ride, but it still saves time over just waiting the entire time. Although it doesn't save nearly as much time as you might think, because the game's gonna autosave because my life count changed. You saw it autosave earlier because it went up, but now it went down. And so the game's gonna autosave again. It also does that if you update a score of any kind, but since all of my scores are maxed out, it doesn't matter. Or beat an island. So here's the World 3 boss. Essentially, I'm gonna be using light packs, broken physics, in that bounce pad area over there to the left to save me some platforming. Except it's not really platforming, but whatever. This second phase is by far the hardest. I'm going to intentionally take a hit there, and then hopefully Galvis doesn't do the wind attack to mess me up. Thankfully he didn't, so I was able to get through that pretty easily. Right here, I do have to eat the ghosts in a particular way so that Galvis stays stunned for as long as possible. So I'm going to wait till they spawn, eat the first power pellet, wait till Galvis is done with his stun animation to eat the second, and then eat the third one. Forgot where I was for a second. Here's World 4. Not that bad of a category in all ghosts, but it's got some tricks to it. This first part, this level's gonna go pretty much the exact same as any percent in every category until the end. In fact, this is actually the same as it is in all 100%, which I will also be submitting. This is the only level in the game where you are required to collect every pack dot in every section to get through the gates. There's some cool movement, but a lot of the movement is really tough, and it's very easy to hit one of these bounce pads and just go flying all over the place. I don't know, I bounced a lot there. Alright, I might have been able to save that, but it's very hard to keep the cycle if you just barely make it. So I'm probably gonna this would be a 101 if this were 80%, but I have to eat all the ghosts all the way down, and once again, I'm gonna gain a lot of life from doing this. I'm also going to be able to eat the final power pellet there. So this kind of counts as a pack as well. And the game's going to autosave here again because my life count went up. Alright, so here's 4-2. These next two levels don't actually have any ghosts in them, so they're going to be played exactly the same as they are at 80%. This level's pretty straightforward. There's not really a whole lot I need to say about it. But there's a lot of damage that I'm going to be taking throughout this level. Also, ignore my computer fan, it just kind of does that sometimes. Right here I'm going to grab Light Pack, because I'm going to use it to skip some of these bounce pads. It does kind of put me short on pack dots, but there's enough pack dots to get by. Right here, I can just grab two. And if you think you can, use Light Pack to kind of ledge grab hop around the gates, you actually can't because there's invisible wind that just blocks you from getting to the other side and you just die. So that went really well. Looks like we got a few more laps here. Next is 4-3. I'm going to be doing a strat here found by Joester98 where I boost across these platforms. And that doesn't actually save any time because I'm bound by the platform cycle after this first gate, but it makes the cycle so much easier to make. Like, you can't make that cycle, but I have like 3 seconds to wait here in order to make this cycle. So, it makes it really big. It was still possible before those boosts were found, but now it's pretty much free. So, for the most part, this level also kind of speaks for itself. Right here, you technically can go around those little bars that are in your way, but with the way this level's I didn't have a whole lot of momentum there. With the way this level is routed, it wouldn't actually save any time. I'm trying to boost to this platform so that I could skip that first one, which actually saves around 2 seconds. That's one of the nice things of all Ghosts is that you get a few more lives, so it's very unlikely that you'll game over. 4-4 is one of the hardest levels in this game to do optimally in RTA because of the amount of boosts you have to do. Like, the boosts I'm doing around turns here are actually really risky because of the camera and the slopes. You have to be working the camera because if you're not holding the right directions on the control stick, it's very easy to feel the momentum from the slopes to just send Pac-Man flying into the rhythm. This is a difference from any percent. I'm going to need these two ghosts. The ghosts in this level are pretty much blocked away, so this path is really linear. You'd think you'd be able to fall from the higher parts of the stage to the lower parts, but the thing is, if you fall too far, the game kills you, and the distances are way too long. Oh, it's really hard to maintain your boosts here without falling off because there's no sides and the path is really narrow. You have to constantly be turning your camera as you're doing that. So right here I'm boosting in this wind, which you would think is hard, but it's not. And right here, again, you're supposed to use those bounce pads to go over through this entire section, but you can just kind of go off to the side. If I die here, I'm going to lose around 30 seconds because the last checkpoint I grabbed was right before the wind section. Aside from the death, that was a pretty decent 4-4. So up next is 4-5, where I'm going to be utilizing a glitch that was found by Joester98, where if you boost at the exact same time that you're grounded on a bounce pad or lava, you will actually enter the boost state and maintain some of the bounce. And the bounce isn't really that important, but what's important is that you can use the boost to kind of traverse some sections of this level a lot faster. I'm going to be using it in the bounce boost section after the gate here, and also it's going to be used a lot in the lava because there's a lot of damage to use in this level. Also these two ghosts here, kind of here. So here comes the first bounce boost. It's frame perfect as far as I know, and it also relies on motion control, so it's really precise. I accidentally was a bit too far left. Right. So I'm really low on health here, so I'm not sure if I'm going to want to go for this next set of lava boosts or not. You know what? Let's go for it. This is where we reset this. I have to do this perfectly if I want. I think I'm already dead. Yeah, I'm already dead. Alright. This stage is a little harder to do in most other categories because you have to spend a little bit of extra time in the first second. But the nice thing though is since I started with full health, now I can do a bit more lava boosting and not have to worry about dying. Alright, so there's the final lava boost there. And now we're heading off to the final boss. No, not the final boss, the World 4 boss. My bad. And you can just slow boost to these power pellets. This is supposed to be RNG because Bulbous can rotate the platform any direction he wants. But yeah, you can just kind of slow boost to them and it makes the stage so much easier. Right here you can rotate the platform one of two ways. The RNG that I got is technically worse in terms of speed, but it actually is a bit more easier to manage because now the platform's going to be closer to being fully reoriented by the time the third phase starts, which is going to make it a whole lot easier. And right here for this third phase, I'm just going to grab two of the power pods and then also boost for the third one. World 4. Not a great World 4, but it could have been a lot worse. Anyways, so here in 5-1, there's 8 ghosts in this level, and there's 2 in this first section, 2 in the second section, and then 4 in the third section. Now, in any percent, you would complete this first section, grab Light Pack, go back, and then do the 5-1 skip. But the thing is, you can't actually backtrack once you land on the gold platform because of the boxes, and you can't hop around them. And that's the only way you can actually skip gates in this level, so I'm actually going to have to go through the first 2 sections legit, but once I get to the third section, I'm not going to have to worry about pack dots any longer. So again, I'm going to grab light pack and do this kind of cool slow boost to skip some of that. I don't know if I need those or not. Grab all the pack dots here. Dang, one short. Thankfully I have a backup strat here where I just like that. I was going to try to do a ledge grab hopping and then make it to that higher platform. Okay, so now that I'm in the third section, I don't have to worry about pack dots anymore because I have a bit of a better idea to get through here. So I'm going to slow boost over here to grab night pack so that I can eat some power pellets in these metal boxes. So that way I can eat the ghosts. And then once I eat all 4 ghosts here, I'm actually going to grab light pack, which is over here. I have to be pretty quick here, by the way. If I don't eat Pinky here before the power pellet runs out, I'm in trouble. I have to redo the level. There we go. So now that that's done, I'm going to head over here, grab light pack, and I can use light pack to boost behind this gate. And I can't get all the way to the gold platform yet, so I'm going to have to do this to get to the gold platform. Oh, that was a little short. I wasn't close, I wasn't far left from that. There we go. That doesn't save nearly as much time as it does at any percent, but it's still a time save. And 5-2 and 5-3 also don't have any ghosts, and these are the 2 fastest levels in any percent, because you can basically just fall from the beginning to the end. And this level also has a gate skip. I'm going to try to use a glitchy ledge bounce here to skip this gate. There we go. And now 5-3 is the shortest level in the game because you just fall, literally. You're not supposed to be able to fall this big of a distance, but it turns out that the spacing between the platforms is just small enough to where you don't die from falling. Now we're on to 5-4, which is slightly different than... Oh, dang it. I was holding the wrong angle. So... The only major difference at the start here is I'm going to have to go out of my way to eat these 3 ghosts, and then after that I can just kind of boost down here. Head up here, grab these, pack dots. Now the rest of the stage is going to kind of go similarly to the way it does in 80%. I'm going to do a cycle skip there by, just kind of going around that gear early, which does save a little bit of time. And here I'm going to do some more cycle skips by going across the corners to these platforms. So coming up is another kind of small difference compared to any percent. Normally in any percent, once I reach light pack, I'll just go use the bounce pass to go straight to the final gear of the level. But I can't do that because there's a ghost at the end of the gear section coming up. So what I'm gonna do, okay, first of all I'm gonna grab light pack here just so I can have it, just so the game doesn't auto-save with my life count. So I'm gonna eat this ghost, but there's actually another skip I can do here. If I use this bounce pad with light pack, I can just go straight to full back, and it's really easy. So now, here's the final boss, which is in 2 phases. Both phases are pretty consistent. You just kind of have to know where the power pellets are going to spawn. So I'm going to camp out here because there's a power pellet that's going to spawn right here. So all ghosts, if you think any percent just isn't enough, this category just kind of adds a little more to it. It adds a bit more RNG to the run. And it's a bit more inconsistent, but it's still a really reliable run, and just kind of if you're looking for something a little extra to add, if you need a little bit more time in the schedule. Right, so I'm done with the first phase, so we're heading on to the second phase of the fight, which is pretty cycle-based, but usually making the fastest cycle isn't that difficult. It's cycle-based because of these bounce pads that are on these spinning gears, and the ghosts that I have to eat. So once again, as I'm boosting into these ghosts, I'm crouching as soon as I hit them, because I don't want Pac-Man to just go flying off the stage, and boosting is the only way you can beat that. So I'm not, it might seem like I'm behind, but I'm actually not. I'm fine. So time is going to be when I eat Golbus for the final time. So that's coming up here pretty quickly. throw a wind attack here, but that doesn't matter. And time. Wow, I rolled a death split. Alright, so 29:34. That is actually less than a minute off of the current world record. So All Ghosts is a pretty interesting category. I haven't really submitted it to a marathon before, so it's definitely one you could consider, again, if you think you're just looking for something a little more extra than any percent. So thank you for watching, and thank you for giving this category a submission. Thank you for giving this consideration. My bad.